Ooh, that looks tasty.
Welcome folks, Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another mini preview, and today we're talking about Nanolith, which is currently on Kickstarter right now. Now this is a game that I had never heard of, I knew nothing about until I saw a Facebook ad. I was like, what's this? So I clicked on it, I was looking at it, and I was like, wow, that looks kind of cool. And I immediately hit save, remind me, and I sent a message to Barrett over at Meet Me at the Table. I was like, Barrett, have you heard of this? He's like, no, but I just backed it. And then I had posted, or I was in, I should say, the Adventure and Dungeon Crawl Facebook group where I spend way too much time. And the designer had posted a question about some ideas for making resettable legacy elements. And so I commented with my ideas and I said, I sent you a PM. And I basically said, can I demo this? Can I check it out? I know the campaign's already going. I'll do it on TTS, whatever you want. And he was like, sure, let's do it. So I got to play one round. So this is very much a first impressions video. I got to play one round, the very first adventure of Nanolith. Though I will say that a couple months from now, I will have a full-on preview I should say, because they've actually decided to also send me the prototype, and so I should have something up for late pledges, which tells you a little bit more how the game works and all that kind of stuff, and I'll have gotten to play through more than just one scenario. So, anyhow, these are my initial thoughts on Nanolith. So first off, this is a cyberpunk style game in which you're going to wake up, four of you, always be four different characters you're playing, and you have some of your memories, not quite sure what's going on, but you wake up and all your stuff is there, your gear is there, and immediately you're thrown in this life or death situation, and you're trying to get yourself out. Now, what's going to be happening is, you're going to start in, I think they call it the lobby, and it's very much like you're playing a video game. You have kind of the lobby there with different places you can go. And it's going to start out where some of them are blocked off. So you have to go to a certain scenario or a certain place, and then it might be a fight, it might not be a fight. Though it does always tell you if you're going to be entering a fight or some other kind of thing. And as you go through these fights, you'll be collecting things that you'll then be able to go back to the lobby and then go to another position. And so you're kind of getting to pick and choose where you go sometimes. Obviously, sometimes you have to do a certain thing, and that's what you're doing, you're moving forward. Now, obviously, this is a dungeon crawl style game, so the core of the game is going to be done on the adventure board, and you're going to be fighting. Now, each of the four characters plays very different, whether they're a healer, a support character, which is a hacker, a tank defender, or the aggressor, which is just out to do damage. But the core of the game is, on your turn, you're going to roll your 5 dice, just d6s, and you'll be able to assign these dice to your different abilities. And each ability has a different requirement. It might be a single die that is a 4 or higher will allow you to attack with your weapon. And so you look at your weapon, you look at your base stats, and you'll roll that many d8s. And you'll compare that to the bad guy, and whatever their defense is, it'll tell you what number you need to hit them. Pretty simple, though. Using d8s, not as common in Dungeon Crawl, so got d8s. Very cool. But of course, they're not all that simple. Some of them are where you need to get a straight of at least a 2, so 2, 3, 4. Or maybe it's you need to have 2 numbers that are exactly the same, that are all above a 3, or whatever the thing might be. Different combinations of dice that you need to do stuff, or you can just move, you put the die down, and that's going to let you move. However, there's more, because every time you roll a 1 on your dice, or when you're doing combat you roll a 1, your stress level is going to go up. And the more dice you use on your activation is going to cause your stress level to go up. As your stress level gets to the end of its meter, you're going to take 2 damage, it'll reset, but you're going to unlock what's called your Nanolith? Your nano something another, which is your super move. And all 4 of these super moves are crazy good in some other way. So what you're hearing is, you're actually trying to get stress, which is going to hurt you, but unlock these super abilities. And the more you use a super ability, the top level of the meter is going to go down, so you're going to be able to activate it more and more often. But once it gets all the way to the bottom of your meter, every time you take stress, you're just going to take damage and move yourself towards death. So lots of things going on here. Then the bad guys are going to go, and they have an AI they're going to activate. They have an AI they're going to follow, and then they're going to roll their dice when they attack you, and you'll compare what they roll to your defensive statistics, and you get that idea. But at the end of every round, there's going to be a respawn. And every time the bad guys roll a 1 on their dice, they're adding a reinforcement token. So in the scenario I played, there was always a few bad guys that would show up every single turn. But the But the more and more reinforcement tokens that were there, the more bad guys would show up, and so you kind of have this cycle kind of pushing you forward through the game. In addition to that, you're going to have some kind of scenario objective. Now, the very first one was you have X number of rounds to go get to X place and do X thing. Then when that happened, you got another objective of what you're supposed to do to actually win. But then along with that, the board you're playing on has its own bits of special things you're going to be dealing with. For example, in the one that I did, I had the ability to use a 4 to kind of climb over some chemical vats to get to another spot. And you could use another 4 to bust one open and kind of spray liquid nitrogen on a fire to put it out. So you have all these different things kind of going together. Each different scenario is going to be different. Each character is going to have their own kind of chapter that you're following, kind of their history as they're kind of getting their memories back. As they get their memories back, they get new abilities. As you get experience points, you're going to be able to use those experience points to upgrade the abilities you have, maybe putting stickers on cars, permanently upgrading them, all those kinds of things. So, what do I like about this game? First, I am intrigued by the limited bits of story I've gotten so far. It has dropped enough interesting kind of mysteries out there that I want to know what's going to happen. I am intrigued by the little bits of story I got about the character I was playing, because on the reverse side of each of their skills, there's a little bit of story there that kind of tells you some of their memories and where these abilities are coming from. So that's very interesting to me. I also really like that, again, only played one mission, but it wasn't a kill everything mission. And it really took a lot of strategizing on the parts of us playing to make it happen. It was really important for me to kind of figure out, okay, when do I need to leave the party to get around to unlock this ability so someone else can run up there and save the day and do the thing that needed to be done? Really, really clever. I think if it continues like that with some just fight, 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 and then a lot more that are doing something else while fighting, I think it really has a chance to be something really, really cool. I also am pretty impressed by the art style. At first glance, I'm like, okay, this looks nice. You know, cyberpunk, it's cool looking, it's kind of realistic, and okay, cool. But what really hooked me, and again, I've only seen a few things, was as I was being shown some of the stuff from later down the road, there are all these little Easter eggs that are hidden in the background of the artwork, which is just delightful. As Max was explaining to me part of what happens in the future, just so I had an idea of what's to come, I stopped and said, wait, is that what I think it is? And like, yeah, and then I was looking at all these things. So the art has a lot of depth to it the more and more you look at it, which I really, really appreciate. I think it's very cool. I'm excited about the idea of the upgrading your abilities and your characters and things like that. As you get further on, you can actually improve your defenses, or you can make it to where the dice that you're rolling for abilities, you can have a lower die, or extra abilities added to your weapons, and so on and so on and so on. I think that's very, very fun and very, very cool. But I think what I like the most about this is the core mechanic of rolling your dice and placing them how it is that you would like to have them out there. I love that because you have lots of choices, lots of things that you can do. And I forgot to mention earlier, there is dice mitigation. You can take a stress to raise or lower a die by 1. So you can choose to get whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you need. I think that's very cool, which brings me into this idea of the stress and these supercharge abilities, which is fantastic. You can have moments where you feel like you are a god if you manage those resources right. Sometimes that stress is good, so maybe you actually want to add some stress to make a die the right number that you need. And now that die is the number that you need, so you're able to put it out onto the board and use the activation. But that extra activation is going to give you another stress. Now your stress goes up by even 1 more. Then you're going to roll your dice. Maybe you roll a 1. Oh, that's terrible, so your stress goes up 1 more, but now you've unlocked your nanocharge ability. Then you finish what it is you're doing, then you use your nanocharge ability, and then you kind of the whole thing starts over. It can be really, really cool. In fact, the last turn of the game that we played, the character playing the tank, his nanocharge ability is called Rush. He's a samurai character, and he races multiple squares and hits everything in the path. But because of the way the dice worked, and because of where his nanocharge ability was set up, he actually got it 3 times in a row. He did it once, raced across the board, hit everything, but rolled enough 1s in there where he hurt everything, where he had charged it again. So he raced back and did it again, and then killed everything on the board, and managed to then charge it up yet another time. And so it's really, really fun because you have these moments where you're trying to balance the stress, your health, your dice, and all of these things at the same time. And there's moments where you feel amazing and it just feels good. And you're chucking a bunch of dice, which I appreciate. I appreciate how the combat works. It's actually quite simple once you know what's going on. The AI, it's easy to operate, it's easy to read what it is that they're going to do and how you hurt them. All of that I appreciate. The special abilities that they have are all dangerous, but they don't seem overpowered. Everything about that I really do like a lot. So, what are my quibbles with the game? One, played one mission one time. I don't know if it's going to get stale. I can't say. Also, you're chucking a lot of dice, and there are times when even though there's so much stuff that you can do with your dice, you just might have a crummy roll and you're going to have to burn a lot of stress early on or late in the game when you don't want to do that, to where you might feel like you can't do something. But this is a game with dice, so that should be expected, but just making sure that's clear, because with the dice placement and kind of the Euro vibe, you might think that, oh, there's no swinginess here. There's definitely some swinginess, but it's the swinginess that comes with dice. Just make sure you understand that. I also will say I found that it can feel overwhelming because of the respawns every turn. There was the third turn we played, and now, to be fair, we won. We talked about it, we thought about it, we worked our way out. But I thought for sure we were doomed because suddenly, because of the way the bad guys had rolled, see, the thing is, when the bad guys roll ones, they get these reinforcement tokens. As they get reinforcement tokens, that means they're coming back. They're going to teleport back in. And so you have this constant push to keep on moving. That might be something that stresses you out. You might not like that. Infinity Defiance is a game that does the same kind of thing, where you're at the end of each turn, you're getting more bad guys are teleporting back in, and the further the game goes, the more are going to be coming back on. And for me, I liked it because it keeps the tension up. You're not just stopping and pausing, but it might not be something you like. You might not like that idea that every single turn, no matter how well you do, more bad guys are coming out. And then the last thing that I'll put out there is just something to keep an eye on is the legacy elements. And I know that they're trying to figure out the best way to make it resettable. And I don't know if that means vinyl stickers. I don't know if that means there's recharge packs where you can just buy another set of cards, or dry erase cards you can write on, like maybe wet erase cards you can write on. I don't know. I have no idea. But there are legacy elements to this game. The idea is that you will be taking stickers, putting them on top of abilities on cards, and permanently changing them. So I don't know if that means that once you get to the end, you're now done, or if there's going to be some kind of scenario generator to where you can kind of keep playing and keep going and keep enjoying these now powered up characters. But there you have it, folks. That is Nanolith. I am high on this game. As soon as I am done with this video, I'm going personally, and I'm hitting the back button because it's cool. It's cool. It's a cool game. If you like dungeon crawls, especially if you like cyberpunk, I don't even care about cyberpunk, but if you like cyberpunk and you like dungeon crawls, this is a cool game. More importantly, I'm going to say the mechanics of the way the dice work are different than all the other dungeon crawls that I have played. I really, really like the dice placement aspects of this game, and I'm hopeful that the further you get in the game, the more options you have, and it's just going to kind of ramp it up, and you will feel more and more powerful. But anyhow, there you have it, folks. That is Nanolith, live on Kickstarter right now. I will have a more in-depth video down the road, but for now, I'm high on this. I think if you are into dungeon crawls, then you need to check this thing out. This potentially is right up there with all the great dungeon crawls and adventure games that have been coming out this year. So very, very excited about it. Give it a look, check it out, see what you think. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.